Welcome back, YouTube world. It's Yami back again with you with the Journey to Makeup Girl video. And today I'll be working on my eyebrows, honey. Yes, let's fix these up. And I'll be trying different variations. 1, not 2, not 3, 4, 5, 6 different methods by 6 different YouTubers on how to achieve the perfect eyebrow. They say YouTube is the place to learn. Let's test it out for ourselves, shall we?
You need to gently comb my eyebrows in an upward motion so that you can just get started on the trimming, because I want to go in with this translucent powder and a fluffy brush to just set that powder in my eyebrows. The reason for doing this is to make sure that whatever eyebrow product that I do choose to use glides on really smoothly and that there's no oil. Now this is a way that I usually use to know where my eyebrow is supposed to start, arch and end. So using my nose, the mid part of the bridge of my nose, I will just mark where my eyebrow is supposed to start. Using the side of my nostril on one side, that is where the arch is supposed to, that is where the eyebrow is supposed to arch, and then using the end of my nose, that is where it's supposed to end. So I am just going in and very gently outlining the bottom part of my eyebrow using my very sharp pencil, and you can see I'm doing it where my eyebrow is supposed to start all the way to where it's supposed to end. And now I'm using the spoolie to just comb my eyebrows downwards, because I've realized that whenever I just draw my eyebrows on without combing my eyebrow hairs down, I do end up having thicker brows. So I always just like to draw push my eyebrows down and then just start drawing. And as you can see, for the top part, I'm not doing it all the way from the bottom part where I started the top part. I'm leaving a little bit of a distance just so they can not look like box brows and they look more natural. And now I am just using my same pencil to just draw hair-like strokes at the beginning of my eyebrow, the way your natural eyebrow usually is. And I'm just doing it on both sides, still using my pencil. It's still sharp. And then what I'm going to do now is just very gently continue adding hair-like strokes. And then using my spoolie, I will just now comb my eyebrow hairs in the direction that they're supposed to be on both sides, and then again go in with my Davis pencil in number 18 to just fill in the spaces that are a bit sparse with eyebrows. Okay, next up is cleaning. I am going to be going in with the LA Girl concealer in the shade Fawn, and I went off camera and did one of the eyebrows just so you guys could see how it looks like. And what I'm doing right now is just positioning the other eyebrow to make sure that they're on the same line. Do you ever have like sometimes where you draw your eyebrows and then you don't measure it out, and then one eyebrow is higher or lower than the other one, or thicker or thinner than the other one? So this method always makes sure that your eyebrows look as tweeny as possible, or sisters. So I am just very gently starting off my cleaning up process at the beginning, and as you can see, I'm using the bottom part of my eyebrow of my brush and just very gently going along the same line that we drew on the bottom part of my eyebrow. And guys, this is why it's really important to use a sharp pencil, because it really does give you an easier time when it comes to cleaning up, because you can see the line really clearly, as opposed to using a really thick pencil and then going in and having very thick lines and having to just clean up in a place that you cannot see. So this, using a sharp pencil really helps, and I always like to do it like slowly by slowly, as you can see, step by step from the beginning to the end. And then after I finish, what I like to do is, using the side of the brush, I just go over the whole eyebrow just to make sure that also the concealer is well distributed throughout the whole eyebrow, and that there are no patches from the beginning to the end of the eyebrow, so that you can make sure that your eyebrow looks as neat and seamless as possible. Again, take your time with this. It does take a little bit of practice, but the more you do it, the better you become at it. So practice, practice, practice. And then later on, we're just going to go in and blend everything out using a flat fluffy brush. I really love this brush for blending out my concealer, but you can also alternate using just a normal fluffy brush. It doesn't have to be arched. It doesn't have to be arched. And just going over everything with a translucent powder. This is actually a really nice translucent powder. You can alternate it with a compact powder, but the reason I prefer a translucent powder is because it doesn't change the color of whatever concealer that I've put underneath my eyebrows. So I'm just pushing that in to make sure that I've set my eyebrows. You can see it's not hard, it's really easy, but initially when you're learning eyebrows, it's never easy. So just take your time and practice.
This was an interesting one. What do you guys think? I messed up a little bit, but I was still learning. I think I tried my best. Let me know in the comments below. Do you guys give a thumbs up, thumbs down? Moving to the next one.
Okay, so the very first thing that I do is put some powder over top of my eyebrow because of the moisturizer that I use. Now I'm going to take my spoolie and brush these excess hairs down. I need to tweeze all this because this is just a hot mess. I'm going to take my handy dandy tweeze. I'm going to use my brow pencil, and for about, I don't know, maybe like a year or so, I have been using the Anastasia of Beverly Hills brow definer. I'm going to start at the very front of my brow, and I'm going to start underneath it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is raise my brows like this. So I'm starting at the very front bottom part of my eyebrow, and I'm going to lift my brows, and I'm going to just very lightly outline the bottom portion of the brow, and then I'm going to extend that tail a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is take that brow definer, and I'm just going to begin to fill in that gap. And this is why I love this pencil, because you can make a really precise line if you want to outline the brow, which is what I just did. But when you want to fill it in, you can take the flatter side of the pencil, and it's just like, it just fills in the brow perfectly. I love this pencil. So now with the concealer of your choice, I'm going to be using my Too Faced Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer. This is in the shade Maple. This is what I use to highlight my under eyes with. How I want to sculpt out my brows. So I really love this one because it's not too runny. It's literally kind of like the perfect consistency. However, you need a good brush. So this one right here, this is, what is this? A Morphe M421 brush. It's just a flat concealer brush, but it's small enough to just get right up under there. So I switch between this one and this one right here. This is a Morphe M167 brush. Let me show you guys how I do this. I'm going to take the top off. I'm going to take my brush and just slightly dip it into the excess on the top of my concealer. You don't want to get too much on your brush. All right, so now we're going to start sculpting. I'm going to start underneath the arch. I'm going to raise my brows again, and I'm just literally going to sculpt out this brow. All right, so now I'm going to take my finger and wipe away that excess in the front, and I don't really like that harsh concealer line right there at the front of the brow, so I just take my finger and wipe that right away. And then I also do the same at the tail of the brow, but I don't really clean this part up until I do the top. I'm going to start here at the arch and then just sculpt it out. And it really is, you guys, just all about manipulating and kind of just, I mean, to me this is kind of like an art. I'm going to add an extra step, or show you guys an extra step, just because this is exactly what I do in my everyday routine. I'm going to take whatever foundation that I decide to use for the day, and I'm going to pick some up on the same brush that I used to sculpt my brows with that lighter concealer. So I'm literally just using my foundation shade to get rid of that kind of light halo look that you get with the lighter concealer. The last and final step is I'm going to take my clear brow gel once more, and I am going to run that through the hairs one more time just to blend in my natural hair with the pencil. And that is it, you guys.
Oh girl, one down, the other one to go. Clearly I don't totally like this one. Let me touch it up a little bit before I begin with the other one. But this was a pretty interesting technique as well. There you have it. It's not as structured as the other one, but this one's also pretty natural and nice. I like it. What do you guys think? Yay, nay? Is it giving or is it not? Is it? You like it? Okay, get yourself out. Alrighty, so number 3. Let's go.
What's poppin', everybody? Welcome back to my channel. So I'm getting right into these brows, okay? We ain't wasting time. Let us set these brows. Starting out, I'm using my setting powder from Juvia's Place in the shade Kalahari, and then moving on to the brushes I use for the actual brows. So this is one from Anastasia. It's okay, but this one right here by Kiss, you need it, sis, okay? It is everything. Then I'm just using my dip brow pomade in the shade dark brown. Sometimes I use ebony, but I've been using dark brown lately. And you want to make sure you press this into the cap of the dip brow. So I'm brushing through my brows. You want to make sure all your hairs are out of the way when you start drawing your lines, and you want to make sure your brush is the right way when you're doing this. I use this angle brush because it's just so much easier to me when I'm filling them in, because as you can see, my brows are really sparse, and this gives me the perfect straight line that I want. As you can see, I started by drawing the bottom line and then the top line just to get the shape I wanted. Then using that excess product on the brush, I'm just filling everything in between those lines. I don't really go in the front of the brow. As you can see, I left a lot of space there because I went through that phase too, like most other people who draw their brows on, where they looked like Nike checks. You need this brush, okay? This is the Morphe 224 brush in my Juvia's Place concealer in the shade 13. This is my exact shade, and I'm using this little metal palette. You can find it on Amazon, and I just pressed all that product into it to get this brush as flat as possible. I love this brush so much. So as you can see, I started towards the mid section of the brow, and I'm flattening this brush onto my brow bone as much as possible before like drawing the concealer, because the concealer is crucial for your brows, okay? Like that's why you want to find the best brush that suits you. I like the rounded ones the best because I can depend on the shape. As you can see on this part of me using this, the top is the easiest when using my rounded brush. I find it way easier than the flat kind. As you can see, I didn't really like how pointy my brow was at the arch, and I depended solely on the shape of my brush to completely just take some of that arch away. Then I set it with some powder. I added a little bit of the brow powder just to darken them a little bit towards the ends. And then this is my Morphe 173 brush, and this is essential in my opinion as well to buff the concealer in really good. You really want to make sure your concealer is buffed into your skin. You don't want to be like your brow to look like it's got like a white line down, like, you know what I'm saying, like where you know they carved their brows out. You see pictures and then it's like that's the only part that's like highlighted. That is not a good look. You want to make sure that your concealer is all pressed in, all smoothed out before your face. Well, if you do your brows first, then yeah, you want to make sure this part is really pressed into the skin. And I'm just letting y'all know now, like, one brow is always better than my other one. One brow is always more arched than my other one. I can't help it. It's just like always like that. So this is my good brow. This is the one I always show off. My other one is just a little smaller, but I love them both. Even though they aren't twins, they are sisters, okay? If you brush some duo lash glue through your brows, they look so deep, bro. Like, I can't even explain it. Like, the lash glue adheres the your hairs to your face, so they look really neat.
So I guess that's it for that tutorial. So let's compare mine versus hers. I mean, I know they look completely different, but I just followed the shape of my eyebrow, and clearly there I made a mistake. But overall, I think I did pretty good. I like them. What do you guys think? Let me know. Let's compare side by side. The first brow versus the last one. Now the second brow versus the last one. Let me know how I did and watch out for part 2.